Senate Bill or Substitute House Bill 1406. This is the bill that authorizes a county or city to impose a local sales tax for affordable or supportive housing. The committee heard this bill in Ways and Means back on April 3rd. Again, it would authorize cities and counties to impose a local sales tax of either 0.01% or 0.02% that is credited against the state sales tax. A county could impose the maximum rate in the unincorporated areas of the county or in cities that are not imposing the tax at all. And then a city can impose the maximum rate only if it imposes a separate qualifying local tax that is also used for affordable housing, mental health, substance abuse, or related services. So the fiscal impact was indeterminate, but the House they assumed $142 million in a 4-year outlook, essentially assuming that all of the counties imposed what the cost would be if all the counties imposed at the 0.02% rate. So there are several amendments. The first one by Senator Rolfes, this is a striking amendment. It's on blue. This is S4531. It, first of all, lowers the maximum rates to reduce the fiscal impact from $142 million over the 4 years to $104 million. So this is roughly about a 27% reduction in the tax rates that are included in the bill. The next one, there is a line page amendment by Senator Rolfes. This would change the current councilmatic authority to impose the tax to one where it would require voter approval.
I'm withdrawing this amendment.
Okay, and then the next amendment by Senator Braun, this is on buff colored paper. It would require or eliminate the authority of cities and counties to pledge the revenue from the local sales tax for the payment of debt service.
This is Jeff Olson, Policy Committee staff. I'll be speaking to there's an amendment on green paper by Senator Palumbo, S4547.1. This amendment provides that a city must have imposed at least half of the sales and use tax for housing and related services to be eligible as a qualifying local tax. The amendment clarifies that a city must impose the local sales tax for chemical dependency and mental health to be eligible as a qualifying local tax. And finally, the amendment specifies the conditions for levying the maximum local sales tax rates for a city or for a county. There's also a Teal amendment by Senator Palumbo, S4549.1. This amendment restricts cities from imposing the tax authorized in the bill if they fail to qualify for a planning grant from the Department of Commerce by April 1st of 2021. This restriction is contingent on the passage of House Bill 1923. That bill was increasing urban residential building capacity, and that passed the legislature April 24th.
Senator Braun had a question, and Senator Frost.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the amendment on green, how does that differ from the underlying bill and striker that requires the passage of the additional sales tax for chemical dependency and mental health to qualify for the higher rate? And I'm not sure it's clear. It appears to change the qualifying standards, but it's not obvious to me how it does that or what the net result is.
Well, the first qualifying phrase was that for the tax under 8214.530, cities would have to impose at least half of that authorized rate. That qualifying language wasn't in before.
Wasn't?
No.
Okay. And that's for the lower rate.
I have to double check on where that one is. It's under.
So that's what I'm saying. It's a little confusing how much, in what way this limits the qualifying cities to qualify. It appears to limit it more. But again,
that was just a qualifier to be eligible, to have that as an eligible qualifying local tax. Those are the ones that are used to get the higher rate.
Okay, Senator Kaiser.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe I'm reading the Gamma Green Amendment incorrectly, but it appears to not maybe I am reading it incorrectly. Does it apply to both cities and counties on the qualification that at least half the authorized rate of the sales and use tax for housing and related be eligible as qualifying local tax?
That was only for a city.
So it does not apply to county, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought.
He takes it out. All right, so there's count votes.
Senator Frock?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeff, just on the main striker on blue, so the fiscal note that is $104 million in this form with the lower rates, I want to understand that fiscal note assumes that all counties will, or cities that might be eligible to actually enact the tax. Is that correct? Or take advantage of the program, if you will.
So the House, they originally booked $142 million over the 4 years. The actual fiscal note from the Department of Revenue is indeterminate because it's hard to know which jurisdictions will actually impose the tax. But to book a cost for it, it was assumed, the counties, if the counties imposed the tax, every single county imposed the tax at the maximum rate, so that would be at the 0.02%. That's how the $142 million was derived.
Okay.
And so then.
And that methodology is continued on in this striker in terms of at least evaluating the potential fiscal impact.
That's correct.
So just so I'm clear, if 4 less counties did not impose this tax and take advantage of the sales tax credit, that would drive the fiscal now down by some number, right?
Of course, that would happen after the bill has already potentially been enacted. But
So
yes,
if 15 counties did that, same idea.
correct.
Right. The fewer the counties that actually enact this. So they might, some of them might take it, some of them might not. That's my point.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Braun?
Follow up to the earlier question. So how many counties have not, I know on the mental health tax, I think there's just one, or maybe there's a few. Do you know how many counties have already enacted these qualifying taxes?
I don't have that data readily available, but I can check into that pretty quickly.
Yeah, if you could provide that. It seems like that would be necessary information or important information for allowing for the cost of this bill in the budget.
Mm-hmm. There's a little bit in the fiscal note.
Okay, seeing no more questions, thank you. Did we go through all the amendments?
For this particular bill, yes.